everybody. We're doing Kundalini live question and answers with Guruji. The timing is a little tricky today for people because of the time change, the elections, and a lot of different things that have happened. But I'm glad to see that some of you have still been able to make it. Hi Mandakini, is it very early for you? Kundalini. Q and A with hi all of you. Hi for Goody, Saujanya, Bhimeshwar. Hi Meghna. Hi all of you. So you want to make sure that you have, it's going to be mainly a Q&A section on Kundalini. So let's have our questions ready. Let's also make sure that we don't ask the same questions again and again. And good morning. Yeah, chakra, you're right. I'm doing a wrong pinning. I relate to that. So chakra Q&A, that's exactly what it is. And all the chakras align to your Kundalini. So that's actually what it is. You're right, my bad. I should have said the words that we used. Namaste Krishna ji. I am going to, I think Guruji is here. Let's do the view request. Okay. I'm waiting for Guruji to join on this. Namaste, Guruji.
Namaste, how are you?
Good. All of America is in suspense looking at the elections. So we're all good, Guruji. But everybody in the West is awaiting what's going to happen in the next 2 days. So it's like a big, one of those big cricket matches. It's that kind of excitement in the air.
The whole world is looking forward.
I know. Guruji, tell me if I'm wrong, okay? But this is how I look at it. While what is happening is a little crazy, but this is how I look at it, that this has happened in the world forever, right? As long as mankind has existed, whether it's Hitler, whatever, this is how it happens, right? This is ups and downs in the universe that keep happening. So of course we take responsibility, we change what we can, but this is really the nature, this is the name of the game in a way.
Yes, it is the game.
Okay. Because I always feel like I'm sounding very careless and I'm sounding very callous, and people are like, you don't care. But the truth is I care, but I know that this is how the universe works.
Of course, universe has its own plan, its own method, and everything is based on a proper calculation. I call it a master design. Usually, I term it as destiny.
Absolutely.
I played with that.
Absolutely, right. So it is a part of a master design, and you're right. And just because it's master design does not mean, that we, like you always explain to us, that we don't have an action, but we have an action from a place without that intensity, without that kind of crazy passion and losing our balance. We continue to do that nishkam karma.
Yes, of course. These are all our explanations only. Just now I said, each and every molecule is designed through a master. Then question remains, who is that master? My world, my universe is created on my own self. When I understand myself, I will declare that, I was really separated from the reality with a wheel of Maya. Now, I removed that. I torn off that Maya, wheel of ignorance. Now, I see what is going on. When I understand that is what is called self-realization. When we recognize that self itself is manifesting as this varieties of this universe.
Mhm.
Then all these questions and confusions, everything will vanish.
Mhm.
But that state of mind cannot be expressed through our senses.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
If I want to express something, either I should tell you
Mhm.
or I should write and give to you.
Mhm.
But these are all the mediums, sensory
Mhm.
mediums of interaction.
Mhm.
But the intellect should be converted itself
Mhm.
into words and sentences. Then only I can deliver through my senses.
Mhm.
But intellect never understand the essence of the self.
Mhm. Absolutely, Guruji.
This is the crisis which we all are facing.
Mhm.
Right.
Mhm.
So the
It's
question
really
is good.
great.
Answer also can be given this much only. If we want to go
Absolutely.
beyond that, yes, we have to do the systematic meditation. Yes.
So we'll start with that reminder that Guruji says that that which you cannot explain through your senses, you can't
Mm.
understand through your senses. All of that is those unsaid experiences which nobody can explain and write in a book, and you can't understand reading a book. For that,
Yes.
true sadhana is important. And
Yes.
so, just with that, let us begin our session for the chakras. And I'm already getting questions. Okay. If anybody has questions, I put it in the question mark section. It's much easier for us to bring those up. There's a question mark section near the comments. If you click on it, you can put your questions there. So, Guruji, we spoke about the 7 chakras in the human
Yes.
body last time. And
Mm.
we said the 5 chakras, right? The base chakra, which is Muladhara, and the top
Mm.
chakra, which is Sahasrapadma, are
Yes.
a little more, they are like literally the two ends, the two gateways, which have more of a
Mm.
cosmic universal connection. And
Yes.
they are a little bit more inaccessible to us through our senses. The
Mm.
5 chakras in between, from Swadhisthana to Ajna, all
Mm.
of those chakras we have access to in a certain manner. And
Yes.
the role of the chakras is literally, this is that, what do I call it? This is the circuit board. It's literally the circuit board which allows us to communicate, through to the world, the frequencies
Mm.
in the world. And
Yes.
really, all of those signals are happening through the chakras. And of course, you want your circuit board to be functioning really well. And you want to explore it if we want to connect with the universal consciousness. And then you spoke about Om Namah Shivaya. And then you spoke
Yes.
about how when you want to include Om Reem Namah Shivaya, when you want to include all the
Yes.
7 chakras,
Yes.
the way to do it is to constantly put energy here. Where you put your energy, tapasya starts and things can open up. So now, Guruji,
Yes.
let's take the questions that
Mm.
anybody has. If there's anything you want to add to this, Guruji, we'll add to it and then we will start taking questions.
No, you can take questions now.
Okay, Guruji, we'll take questions. So the first question is that this is a very good question, Guruji. For some people, right? I mean, there's all of this importance of the Ida and Pingla and balanced energies. Some people are constantly blocked. One nostril is constantly blocked for some people. And
Mm.
that affects their pranayam as well. And I also have experience with somebody, Guruji, that they are from childhood, their Ida is blocked and
Mm.
their body has actually become very hot and dry. You know, the
Yes.
fiery energies of Pingla, the hot body is hot, dry, eczema, all of that. So, Guruji, what do you have to say about it? Somebody is asking that it affects his pranayam practice, that blocked nostril. What is it that you can say?
The best practice and safe practice is Dirgha Kumbhaka, as I explained you earlier. Just sit on floor with a straight spine and hold the breath. And it's an internal retention. Inhale maximum and hold. That is the safest one. But if you want immediate result, you don't have time to wait. You can practice Anuloma Viloma Pranayama, alternate nostril breathing, with the external retention. Then the cavities will be opened very fast. Within 2 to 3 days, you can experience this whole area is getting open. But if you keep continuing that, it will reduce the body stamina. If you want to attend a physical effort or a competition, then this will not help you, because the oxygen retention will be less in the system and the body will be easily tired, get tired.
Okay.
But nostrils can be opened very fast.
Okay. So there are few technical aspects, techniques through which that Guruji explained that you can open your nostril, the external retention and the Anulom Vilom. And through that, once it's opened, you can have that full oxygen uptake which is required. Otherwise, you can't do the Dirgha Kumbhak, right, Guruji? Otherwise, it becomes hard to do it because you cannot hold it that long. Your body does not have enough oxygen.
Yes, you have to struggle a lot, but you will get immediate result. There will be a fast opening in the nostrils.
Yeah, I have to say that, since I do Kumbhak, the breathing has changed a lot. A lot, the breathing changes completely.
Every day, breathing will change. That means you are recognizing a change in the breath. That means you are getting into pranayama. Many people think pranayama practice is just following the words from the text. Bastrika, Brahmari, Sridali, Kapal, Bhadi, like that. These are all not pranayamas for an ordinary person. Pranayama is ayama, extension of the breath and observation. Then slowly you will start recognizing few changes happening in the pranic level. When you observe that changes, you are getting into pranayama in a natural way. This is what is technically said. Sakshi Rupena Darshanam. Sakshi means witness. Whatever is happening in the body as changes, keep observing, keep monitoring it. When you recognize these changes, slowly your mind will be transforming into different states. Yadha prana, tadha mana. Or yadha mana, tadha prana. So they are complementing each other. When you recognize the changes in the prana, slowly the pratyahara starting. Naturally, your senses will be withdrawn from the external objects and it will be focused on inner observation. That is what is called pratyahara, withdrawal of senses. As you observe that, certain chemical changes, some hormonal changes will be happening in the body. There you feel some changes, or your mind will be fixed on something like the changes in the body, which we call dharana. Dharana means the fixing up, attachment. Mind will be attached on the function. So dharana will take place. Once it takes place, then mind will be going into different plane of consciousness, or it is observing. That process is called dhyana, meditation. Meditation is happening. When dhyana advances, you will feel the kapala kubhre madhye chaturdvarasya madhyame, in the center of eyebrows, you can feel energy changes. So you will start observing it. Guruvur madhye shivasthane manas tatra viliyade, means Guru madhya means the center of eyebrows. Shivasthane, that is the seat of Parashiva. Manas tatra viliyade, there only, in that point only, your mind will dissolve. Once I was asking these kind of questions to my master. Like you, I kept on asking questions. But master used to say, I gave you the method for meditation. Go and do that. That was his answer. In a daily routine, I used to approach him and ask questions, and he used to give an answer, yes, go and meditate. But sometimes he used to give slokas like this to confirm that I am advancing in my practice. Same way, what I'm saying is, when we focus the mind over here, then Master gave me an analogy that, the honeybees,
Mm-hmm.
they always make honeybees or bumblebees.
Mm-hmm.
They keep on making noise. From
Mm-hmm.
one flower to other flower, they keep on moving,
Mm-hmm.
making lot of noise.
Mm-hmm.
Then it will be very busy until it find the nectar in a flower.
Mm-hmm.
Once it tastes that honey, then you can see an extreme silence.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So our mind will be like that honeybee or that bumblebee, keep on asking questions and making lot of noises until it will be guided back to the center of eyebrows. Bhruvur madhye shivasthane. Bhru madhya only mind will dissolve. As if that bumblebee come in contact with the honey, all his sounds will be vanished. Same way, once mind reaches over here, our mind will settle down. That is the only point where mind can dissolve. That's why it is called Ajna Chakra. Ajna means command. Then you will be able to give commands. That time, the command mean, if you give commanding the commands, you are the commander. Up to that moment, you are a slave. Can you hear
Wow.
me? I think
Yeah,
the
no,
network
I'm
is
just,
little
no,
bit
no,
low.
we can hear you clearly, Guruji. I'm just thinking about your explanations. I can hear you very
Okay.
clearly, Guruji. No, actually, that was very beautiful. Guruji, for all of these years, when we've read all the Shastra, and you feel like, oh my God, this is all new practice. When you see the Ashtanga Yoga and you feel like, oh, I'm going to have to learn pranayam, and then it's going to be pratyahara, and then it's going to be dharana, and then it's going to be dhyan, and then it's going to be. So it was so well explained, and I think everybody just kind of take a moment to understand what Guruji said, that the process is so natural. You don't have to, it's not that you have to initiate yourself into one practice formally into another. When you master one practice, right, Guruji, like you said, when you have done that ayam of prana, and your
Yes.
mind is on the prana, and this I'm sure we've all experienced, I know I've experienced that. So Guruji, now I understand, even when I go for a dental treatment, and if my mind is focused on the prana, suddenly I'm in a state of coma, and the dentist was
Yes.
like, are you living? Like, you're not even moving, this must be hurting. But that's what is happening, is because when your mind is on the prana, a natural pratyahar happens where you disconnect
Happen.
from the senses.
Yes.
So it's a very natural process.
Yes.
And so, Guruji, the part I didn't get fully is, so from the pratyahar to the dharana, you explained it, but can you explain that again? So, guys, this is the 8 steps of yoga, which starts with yama, niyam, and Guruji does a brilliant job of explaining yama, niyam in one of the earlier episodes, yam, niyam, asan. Now he's going on to explain pranayam, from how you naturally move from pranayam to pratyahar. And Guruji, can you
Yes.
explain again from moving from pratyahar, which is a sensory kind of disconnect or restraint naturally, to dharana?
Yes. When your mind is withdrawn, when that process, start taking place, energy get focused within the body. This is what I said. Where mind reaches, prana also will
Yathaman.
be reaching back. So once mind and prana reaches back to our own body, mind will be forced to be engaged or connected with the body. There, the union will take place. Union between mind and body is generally called yoga. So once mind merge into muscle or the matter, there dharana happens. Dharana means fixing, focusing the mind on an object. Here, our object of observation is our own body. The mind was taken back from external objects and it was forced to be united with the matter. So mind and matter become one. That process is called dharana. When a perfect union takes place,
Mm-hmm.
like hydrogen and oxygen.
Mm-hmm.
Then no more two gases.
Mm-hmm.
Water will be evolved.
Mm-hmm.
Same way, mind and body merge each other. Both will lose its significance. Mind and body will not be primary then. A third factor will be evolved. That is what is the experience of dhyana meditation.
Got
There
it.
you will go. There you will go beyond matter and mind. Then what is remaining? Energy. That energy is labeled as, the first plane is labeled as extra physical domain of morphogenesis according to modern science. But here in yoga, we call it pranamaya kosham, subtle body, existence in subtle body, not in matter or in mind, but in an energy level. That is what is called pranamaya kosham. Once we experience that, then only we can think of chakras, kundalini, and all these things.
Lovely, lovely, lovely. That was so well explained, Guruji. So well. And I think so. Yama to Samadhi is a very
Yes,
natural process.
process.
Guruji even said last time in the few episodes ago. So everybody who doesn't know that, these are the when you study Yoga Shastra, these are the 8 steps to from Yama to Samadhi, and Yama is your do's and don'ts and do's. But I think last time
Yes.
what Guruji explained is that you yourself through introspection realize, as human beings we know when we are what are our do's and don'ts. And Guruji said through introspection, through silence, through chitta vritti nirodha, and through breath work, we ourselves will understand the do's and the don'ts, right? So you said
That is
it's
what.
not an external prescription. It's something that through your self realization you come to. At that point, when you take on an asana practice and that tapa or the heat that is generated in the body of a tapasvi, that is energy to elevate. Because any time in the universe, you need heat for transformation of energy to happen. That's what asana provides. You go into this natural prana ayam practice where you're stretching your prana, you're holding it longer. That's when Guruji says, and naturally, where you put your prana, that's where your mana will go, that's where your mind will go.
Right.
Automatically, if your mind is on the prana, that means your mind is not on the external world, which means it's inside, and it'll disconnect from the external world. That's when the next step of pratyahara will happen. What he just explained is from pratyahara, when you're living inside and your mind is focused inside on your prana, you automatically find dharana inside your system, inside your body.
Yeah.
Once that practice continues, there is a union that happens of the mind and the muscle of the body, and that's where true yoga happens, and you come into dhyana. From that level, very quickly everything can dissolve and you go into samadhi.
Yes.
That was unbelievably
Yeah.
explained, Guruji. I've never
Yeah.
thought about it like that, ever.
When we reach to that level,
Hmm.
the first union taking place in a particular point will be the center of eyebrow. That is what is called Shivasthan. Once it happens, like in your room, you have many devices, bulb, fan, AC, many things are there, but all are working because of 2 wires. So these 2 wires manifesting as many things, music system, heat, cold, many things are there. But if you take out that wires from these equipments, everything will come to a standstill. Then try to connect the 2 wires, you will see a spark. Spark means sound with light.
Mm-hmm.
Same way, Ila Pingala nadis, solar and lunar nerves are coming up from Kundalini and it is coming to the Netrasira. Means this is the area where the energy is being split into many branches. One part will go to eyes, one part will go to nose, tongue, ears, and skin. These are the ways, energy, 5 ways it will spread spread up and make 5 organs active. But instead of making the organs active, we have to withdraw. This is what pratyahara. Withdraw the energy from the senses, try to make a forceful union here, but very natural. Once it happens, there will be a spark. But you keep holding that wires in your house. What will happen? The main fuse will be cut off. If the main fuse is not cutting off, what will happen? There will be an explosion in the transformer. Same way, when we do this union in the center of eyebrows, immediately there will be a spark in the Muladhara, like the transformer, the energy source. Once that sparks take place in Muladhara, we call Kundalini is awakening. Once that spark starts, we can monitor the gap between the Bhumadhya and the Muladhara. Other 4 chakras will be seen to us. It's a perfect high-level understanding, supernatural experience or super sensual experience. By that time only, we will be conscious about the link between the body, the micro and the macro. These 9 planets, other stars, all are interacting with us through a domain beyond our senses. So how we can explain the significances of chakras in this very simple body? Now I am seeing a question. What are your thoughts on the earth having chakras?
But Guruji, before we
hello.
go into that, I want to summarize what you said, Guruji, because it was very, very beautiful. And I think people who may have missed the last time, they may not have been able to get the full relevance. So because what you said was just really powerful, what you just said. So what Guruji explained to us last time, okay, and I want everyone to understand this, is your Mooladhar, right? From your Mooladhar to your Sahasra Padma chakra, these 5 have connections with the 5 elements and the 5 senses. Out here is really where that spark can happen, is when when your energy is channelized from the base to up, really focused here, that's when that electricity can happen and you can get a higher connection to the cosmos. However, usually, right, these 2 sources, the right and the left energies that really flow, are usually dispersed into being used to our senses. We kind of use that electricity that we carry in our own spine, which travels through the 5 chakras in between. And the 5 chakras that relate to the 5 senses. Usually all of those wires are the energy is dispersed to provide for the 5 senses. And that union can never happen here because there's a lot of distraction. So when we do this process extremely naturally, but still there is a force, there is a planned naturalness to it. When we do this process and we disconnect that energy from the 5 senses and instead we reroute it, we centralize it out here. And that's when we come and it aligns here, those 2 wires from the back of your spine all the way here. And when that happens, it's like a blackout and like that Brahmana, there is an electric sound and a light. And that experience, which is from the top to the bottom now, because energy has been channelized, is really the first stage of that Kundalini awakening. Extremely well explained, Guruji. I've never understood it like this ever before. What are your thoughts on the earth having chakras? So, Guruji, that's the question Mandakini is asking.
That is why naturally we came back to that answer for this question. That is what I said. So we cannot have earthly thoughts on chakras. We have to go beyond the plane of matter, even beyond the plane of mind. Then only we can recognize the significance of chakras in our body. Yes.
Okay, next question. How do we know the status of our chakras? And some people say, oh, your Mooladhara is blocked. Guruji, in America, there are all of these psychics sitting and they see, they're like, oh, your base chakra is stuck. Oh, your heart chakra is stuck. and they say all of these things. So is there a way of knowing the status, and should we even bother?
If we come to know about the chakra or how significant a chakra is, then these questions will vanish for that person. Until we get a Kundalini awakening, these questions will be, coming up like this. No way to give an answer about chakras. Whatever I explain, the listeners will catch it, and they will make their own colors and symmetries, and they will fix it in the mind. But what is the benefit of that?
Back, Guruji keeps always reminding us to go and explore it. While this is all so exciting and it's just so, oh my God, magical. But Guruji keeps saying that we have to really go and explore our own inner realities, because somebody else telling us about our inner realities is kind of a joke. It's not possible. You go back inside and you observe your own inner reality, right, Guruji?
Why I'm saying this now, once we get the union in center of eyebrows, naturally there will be a spark in the Muladhara in connection with that. Then these 2 points will get connected. Slowly the death hormone, what I say is there will be an ecstatic experience. Then that energy will be focused on this area. Then other 4 chakras will be pierced. Then we will come to know there will be 6 more chakras in between the Bhumadhya and the Sahasrara sub-centers. So these are all very subtle things. So how we can explain? Whatever we try to explain through the words, these words will be misinterpreted in the listener's mind, and it will be misformed. They will make their own forms. These experiences are beyond Nama Rupa, means name and form. Mind can capture only things which are coming under the domain of name and form, Nama Rupa. If I say a cow, my sound is reaching on your ears, immediately your mind made a picture of
image
a cow.
of a cow. Yes, Nama and
Yes.
Rupa. Yes, Guruji.
Rupa.
It has a name and it has a name and it has a form.
Form. Without a name and form, mind cannot conceive anything.
Yeah. So true, Guruji. So why are we, when we say Kundalini, it can have a Nama but no Rupa unless you experience it. And when you experience it, there's no way you can explain it to somebody because it's such an abstract Rupa. It's such an abstract experience. Abstract experience.
It's like God, or it's like, love.
It's like having a baby. It's like having a baby. Nobody can explain that experience to anybody. It doesn't matter how you try. You cannot explain what happens. Yeah. Okay, Guruji, that's great. Some people asking for Reiki and crystals for chakra balance.
Yes.
So what is, is that something, Guruji, that that you would say that people, crystals, people sell crystals, all of that. Is that something that is even relevant? But I think Guruji already spoke about this once, about all of those external toys to find your own energy.
But these are all having significant effects to a different level. See, Reiki can work because when we focus on a person and guide that person towards certain feelings, there will be some hormonal changes happening in the body of the patient. To a certain extent, that patient will feel the difference. But it doesn't mean that it is the yogic experience. Many people are getting confused between the yoga and Reiki. Reiki is like a medicine. If I am having a problem, either I can take a medicine, solid medicine through matter medium, or I can approach that disease through mental medium. So Reiki is giving a treatment through the prana, energy level. So it has its own significance to a certain extent, not beyond that. like medicine.
Mm-hmm.
I have a headache.
Mm-hmm.
I take a painkiller and it is working through that medium of matter. A Reiki healer is coming and he is touching on my both sides of my neck, head, and I feel the sensation. Mind will work with that, and I may come out from that pain. One is through the mind, other through the matter. That is the only difference.
Fair enough, Guruji. Absolutely fair.
Even other one is crystal healing. Crystal also is drawing our attention to certain symmetries. When mind get focused on something, as I told you before, their prana works. So mind and prana they keep complementing each other. You can approach your system either through the medium of matter or the medium of mind. Both are like this.
Okay, that makes perfect sense that these are all can be used as tools for a certain sense of equilibrium inside, but they're really not a replacement or a substitute for the whole yoga, the whole experience of understanding your own inner world. But for a short term, just like a massage would kind of make you feel centered even, or anything that you do
Exactly.
can make you feel
Exactly.
centered. So they have their place in feeling centered. They have their place in that hormonal regulation when you need it. But otherwise, it's just like that.
Yeah. One more thing we have to be very careful about these things. Yoga is not solving all problems. Many people think or claim that if you do yoga, you will be perfectly all right. You will be away from all physical, mental, social problems. I cannot assure you that because I have never seen a person in physical plane without a disease. My master, he had many physical problems. Then I went through the traditional, lineage also. Swami Vivekananda, one of the very powerful sages whom we knew, was having many problems. He was highly diabetic and asthmatic. Many problems were there, and he could survive only up to age of 39. Ramana Maharshi was having cancer in the stomach. Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, Vivekananda's master, was having throat cancer. So like that, we can see many, many masters who were having many physical problems. That doesn't mean that they didn't know yoga. They knew yoga. They could go beyond the body level. They could guide their mind, separate their mind from the matter, and from the matter, from the mind, they could go to other, plane of consciousness. So, experiencing the plane of consciousness or the different plane of consciousness is the target of yoga. Not having a strong body or a healthy body. If you have a body, you are born and you are growing, and one day you have to die. For physical death, there will be some problems. We have to face it and handle it.
Absolutely, Guruji. It's the dharma of the body to decay. Doesn't matter how much yoga we do or how much. It is the natural course of the body to depreciate and to decay, and for us to feel like we become, we become invincible, or we become amar, and we can't die because we do yoga is kind of foolishness, because the whole concept is that the journey is of the soul and the journeys of the Atma, and it's really not of the Deha, it's not of the Sharir. The Sharir will keep coming and perishing and coming and perishing. So all of these people that you're talking about, their journey was the journey of the mind, of the Atma, of the soul. The body does what it does because that's what the body does. But the thing that you can have control, that can elevate from one lifestyle to, while your body just decays through a period of a lifetime, but your mind has the power to elevate through a period of a lifetime. And that's the opportunity that really lies here.
Yes. So it is said in our books or declared by our masters, Amaratva, immortality is possible, but not for keeping our physical body
Alive. Yes.
immortal.
Mm-hmm.
It is perishing. It is perishable. So we have to understand the evanescent nature of the body and go beyond the body one step, that is mind. Then one step ahead to the mind is different plane of or different dimensions of existence.
So I was just making notes.
So
Okay,
one more
Guruji.
thing, yes,
Yeah.
this is what I meant to say. This pranic healing, Reiki or Ayurveda or modern science, everything is for temporary healing or temporary comfortable situations can be created through any one of these activities. I cannot say this is the best or that is the best. All are, in a temporary level, all are effective. The body itself is not permanent. Then what kind of activities can be adopted in this body as permanent treatment?
Great, Guruji. This is such an important food for thought for everyone to think about. Okay. I will take what questions that we have. I'm going to, guys, take only relevant questions. So, Guruji, this is a curiosity question. And the question is that it is said that the path between Ajna and Sahasra is uncharted and that there are many chakras between those. He says, can you talk a little bit about that? That's what her whole question was.
Yeah. Again, these chakras between the Ajna and Sahasrara, I can just tell you only, but my words are not having any connection with my experience. It is beyond our imagination. Where my mind is active, I am away from that. Once I go beyond my mind only, I become one with these things. Few more examples if I tell you is the moment the union between the Ila and Pingala nadis takes place in the center of eyebrows, the similar spark will be in the Mooladhara. Once the Mooladhara chakra is activated, once Kundalini is awakened, the first nadi which will be activated will be Brahma nadi, which is not connected with any one of these chakras. That is the interesting part. Once the Brahma nadi is activated, all other chakras will be vanished. Then slowly our attention will go to Vishnu nadi or Vishnu Granthi. Granthi means gland. So the Brahma Granthi will be activating the Vishnu Granthi. Then slowly Vishnu Granthi will be activating the Rudra Granthi. When Rudra Granthi is activated, you will become one with the cosmic dance. It is symbolized as Raudra Tandava. This galactic collisions we say now, the galaxies are colliding each other like small points, bindus. So millions and millions of galaxies are colliding each other, making gas forms. Then again it is exploding into different galaxies. So these things are beyond our senses. Only one part, very, very minute part, is noted through our Hubble telescopes. And they say what we saw is nothing in front of the reality. The interesting part is, as we through the Hubble telescope, we see the galactic collisions. The galaxies are colliding each other and making different clouds. The same thing same thing can be noticed when we look through an electron microscope. The same atoms will be or molecule will be colliding each other. there also we'll see only a cloud. So mind can understand this much only. It's like a fog. Either in the micro level or in the macro level, mind will reach to a conclusion that Om Bhurgava Swaha Tat Saviturvarenyam. Only a energy, a flux of energy we will feel. Beyond that, mind cannot go. That is why Dr. Fritjof Capra very clearly stated that where the ultra-modern science has abruptly stopped, there the Indian spirituality has got its beginning. So we have to arrest the functions of the mind. Yoga, chitta vritti, virodha. Mind has a limit. Beyond that, mind never goes. But yoga starts from that point. Chitta vritti, nirodha. All mental functions blocked by force. There, then the samadhis are coming one by one. So keep asking questions about chakras and its manifestations. I try to give answer for these things. Nothing is going to work. These are all for making us comfortable or confident to get into practice. What I was thinking before this, session, we spoke a lot. We keep on discussing in an intellectual way about a subject which is beyond the intellect.
Intellect.
So what I felt is next I can show you a simple technique of meditation with the support of a graph. It's called Archana. If you go to a temple, you can see Archana. A thali will be taken, a plate will be kept on one hand, either flower or something will be kept on that, and take one by one and reciting a mantra is dropping into the idol, on the idol with a certain rhythm. That rhythm is called, or that process is called Archana. That process is only a symbol of systematic meditation. If you are interested, next time I will show you that. But I think in Instagram, is it possible, or we have to organize a Zoom meeting or something?
So, Guruji, we will talk about what it entails, and if it's possible in Instagram, let's do it in Instagram because I know more people will be able to attend. But if you want, I will, we will be in touch, Guruji, you, me, Krishnaji, and we will figure it out. If we can do it on Zoom, we will do it on Zoom. But I'm 100% sure that everybody is interested.
Okay.
Yeah, I have no doubt that people are interested. Having it on Instagram allows a lot of people, thousands of people, to see it after our event, after our talk is done. But we'll figure it out, Guruji.
I will check with my technician also.
Yeah.
And I will show my requirements. I will give my requirements.
Yes,
if it is
Guruji.
possible through Instagram, we will check it.
Absolutely. And Guruji,
what I'm saying is, anybody who can get into that, that is the only way to get into that, spiritual play. I have seen many masters. I have gone through many techniques. And finally, I found this is the only one which is matching with the traditional acceptance, logical explanation, and practical experience. Like Swami Vivekananda said, Shruti, Yukti, Anubhavam. So it must be taken from the tradition. Without the tradition or the modernity, like some masters are saying, modernity has to be derived from antiquity. So by ignoring our tradition, we will get confused. So we have to take from the tradition, then put for our reason. This is what I did. It was perfectly matching with my intellectual analysis. When I brought into practice, I could experience exactly what offered by our masters. That's why with that confidence, I can show you the way. Just think and see the practical effect or logical background of that. And if you feel from both sides, then bring it into practice. Then only these questions will be answered from within. everybody, every individual must have the right and responsibility to do that. Then we can see every individual is changing. Individuals are making the society. If we want to see a change in the society, we as individuals
Have to
we
change.
have to change one by one.
100%. 100%.
Yeah.
100%, Guruji. So everybody, this is super exciting. Next time, Guruji will teach us some of the practical application of this, because I think all the knowledge he has bestowed upon us is just priceless and precious. And now he is going to teach us next time how we can, he taught us the breath work, which we have a video. And now he's also going to teach us a meditative practice. Whatever the requirements are, Guruji will let us know, so I can post it and we can be more prepared for whatever is required for this meditative practice. Guruji, this is great. I think we, right now, my mind personally, right, you have addressed two of the most closest things to my heart and mind in terms of how my curiosity was with the chakras and the journey of from Mooladhara to Ajna, and the three granthis that Guruji talked about. The Brahma Granthi is at the base. The Vishnu Granthi is somewhere, in the center. And the Rudra Granthi is here. And it was amazing that he said that when that happens, your chakras, that electric circuit is kind of shut down for a little bit. And then the granthis kind of activate naturally, like he explained that there's a blackout. There's a blackout in the circuit of the chakras. And the Rudra granthis and everything, once that's activated, that's when the Ira and Pingla wires come back on and it lights up. And now he will explain to us the practical aspects of it and how we can really get started on this journey.
These three granthis are like other, like a pituitary pineal gland, like that. So once these hidden, invisible granthis are activated, we will experience the answers. We will experience the answers for our questions. So there we will become a commander, not a slave or a listener. Everybody has the right and potential to do that. Explore it.
Really, really great, Guruji. I think this is, we've ended really well today. And let us, now let's take it forward the next time, learn the meditative practice. And we cannot thank you enough, Guruji. I cannot thank you enough, Guruji.
Welcome.
Pranam, Guruji. Thank you so much. We will talk to you next time.
Thank you. Look forward to it.
Yes, Pranam.